Hello and hi, my name is Connor. 今日の動画では Suchmos no The Bay について話してます。So this video will be getting uploaded on July 8th of 2025. That marks the 10-year anniversary of this album. And this album is absolutely monumental, at least in my eyes, and I feel like there would be a few tens of thousands of people who would probably agree with me, at least I would hope. So in keeping with tradition, I'm just going to come right out of the gate and I'm going to say that this album is a 10 out of 10. And I don't know if this is apparent to you yet. Lately, I have been trying to wear a tie as sort of a signifier for when I think something is a 10. So if you see me with a tie, it's a 10. Okay. I've probably mentioned that on Twitter, but I haven't in a video, so now you know. Now it's official. This is the first album from a funk pop band, also yacht rock, also acid jazz sort of band that would go on to become crazy popular. Personally, I really love this album because to me, it just sounds like a perfect mix of, I would say, Steely Dan, Jamiroquai, and also Sold Out, who is a very legendary hip-hop Japanese rap trio. Love them so much. Like, for example, there is one song on this album titled Gaga, and this song could easily be from the albums Traveling Without Moving or Automaton from Jamiroquai. I'm not sure if Toby Smith from Jamiroquai had ever listened to Suchmos, but man, I hope he did because he would have loved them. Especially the keyboards. They are a highlight on every Suchmos song ever. So here's where one of my hot takes comes into play. I feel like unlike other Japanese jazz and funk-based rock bands of this time, Suchmos had real staying power. Cause I kind of feel like the bands Unchained and Dadare and also Lucky Tapes really fell off really abruptly and in a very public manner. But somehow Suchmos frontman Yonts really kept the band's head above water the entire time. And now that they're back, that is really kind of proving itself to be true, I think. And I would say that this is likely because of his fantastically smooth voice with equally smooth vocal delivery on every song in their discography. And like man oh man, this guy knows how to write an insanely catchy hook, whether it's in Japanese or in English. And I personally know this firsthand because their 2016 song, Stay Tuned, which is incredibly popular in Japan, was in constant rotation for me back in 2016 just because it was so damn catchy and still is to this day. That song is 9 years old and has not aged a day. So what do you get when you team up a fantastic singer-songwriter like Yonts and then a whole other band of fantastic funk musicians? Well, of course, that all combines into a musical project that just oozes style and creativity, man. Oh my God. I would also have to think that the popularity of this album and the band as a whole was probably influenced by the release of the game Persona 5, primarily because of its very funky acid jazz soundtrack. This album also released 2 years after Daft Punk's Random Access Memories, so I have to assume that that also played a role as well. I just really feel like the world was in need of some jazz pop, and boy did we get it with Suchmos. I love how well this album juggles all of its various styles and genres just everywhere all the time. For example, the songs YMM and also Get Lady really let me relax while still also kind of grooving out a little bit, whereas the more energetic songs such as Burn and also Girl really instill a sense of liveliness to the track list. I really think that every song on this album is like having me constantly tap my foot, and I can't really think of a lot of other albums that are like that. It's just so groovy, and that groove is just so infectious. It's just like I get possessed. I think instrumentally this album is divine, and you will never be able to say anything to convince me of that otherwise. With that said too, I don't really have anything specific to go over because the entire album is a perfect example of why I think the instrumentals are perfect, because they are. I just really think that every musician in the band is truly giving a masterful performance on every single song here. And so with that said too, I don't really have a favorite song on this album. Instead, I have a handful of favorite songs, which are the following. That would include YMM, Gaga, Mire, All Right, and also Pacific. And you might be wondering, well, Connor, you said this was kind of hip-hoppy. Why aren't you talking about the hip-hop aspect of it? That's because it's not really hip-hop, and so I can't say this is a really cool rap verse, you know, or like this is a super cool like sample, right? I just kind of get this sound and feeling of Sold Out in particular just because they had very funky hip-hop music in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, and then as they moved into like the 2010s, that kind of became more of a poppy sound. Here on this album, I do really find that hip hop aspect is mainly tied to the record scratches and just kind of every real drum beat that is reminiscent of a hip hop one. And so I guess I should mention too, if you like this album, check out the first album from Sold Out. It's kind of weird to actually listen to in 2025 because it sounds so dated, but honestly, I love that. I just love how kind of corny that album sounds now, and it just gets cornier with each passing year, but I just treasure that, honestly. Another aspect I love about this album is also the mixing. It sounds fantastic across the entire album with some very notable examples too. The song SGS features two sounds, a kick drum way on the left channel and then a vocoder way on the right. And the drum has a bit of treble taken out of it, which really meshes well with that robotic vocoder voice. It's wow. And then the following song, which titled Armstrong, is very similar to that too. On that song, there is a keyboard on the left, a guitar on the right, and Jones's vocals are right in between your eyes, like right here. Sounds great. Okay, so lyrically, there's not really much to go over here because it's just kind of there to suit the instrumentals and just kind of get you into that very dancey kind of mood. It's more so like, let's dance. You know, like that's kind of what's happening here. But again, I think that totally suits the sound of the album, the intention of the album, and the instrumentals on the album too. So as you can probably imagine, I was really excited to review this album, especially with summer fast approaching. This album is now 10 years old, and for that reason, I think it deserves a score of a 10 out of 10. Like I said, it's a perfect mix of funk, hip hop, and rock, and I don't really know what else you could ask for. That is just a cool mix of genres that the band pulls off just perfectly. And so because of this, I was extremely excited for the release of their newest EP, which came out last week. That is their first project in I think 5 or 6 years, and it's great. And I am so happy they're back, and so is everyone else. And I know it is for sure going to be in my favorite EPs list for July. One last thing too, as you may know, the lead singer Jones also has a side project band, which is called Hedigans, which also released an album last year. And you know what? I released a video on it, so maybe you should go check that out. They are a lot like Suchmos, except not. They're kind of like the inverse. Their music isn't very fun. I would also say that it's a little bit more serious. However, the band isn't taking it seriously, if you will. It's kind of the same, except it's a lot more rocky and dark, which is a really interesting direction for someone like Jones to kind of move into. And like, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but even if you don't want to check out my review, maybe you should just go listen to the album. It's really good. I would really hope that there's more Hedigans music on the way, but I don't know for sure, especially with Suchmos coming back. He might be busy, but I guess all I can say is thank you to my Japanese friends who had recommended that album to me earlier this year. That was a good one. Okay, that is everything I wanted to cover. I think you should definitely listen to this album. I truly think this is mandatory Japanese music if you want to kind of understand the musical landscape of the Japanese music industry, as well as to really just get in tune with a really popular, even by today's standards, Japanese rock funk album. And so as always, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one, and let's hope that we get another 10 years out of Suchmos. Bye.